Hey, hey, Bat Family, and hey, hey, Scott.
Hey, Mark.
Welcome back to the next review in our series of Ivy small box games. Now we are going to be talking Graft. Graft is a 3 to 5 player drafting game set in the world of Tend. It uses the same art and iconography and general structure of the badges. And if you've played Tend, then you understand why there's the restrictions that are in play, because that's meant to simulate the manifest from the larger game. This one's neat.
Yeah, this one was very unique, and I enjoyed it.
So let's go ahead and get into the teach for how this thing works.
Sounds like a plan.
Graft is the new small box drafting push your luck game from Ivy Studios, set in the world of another of their games, the soon to be released Tend. In Tend and Graft both, you play as an employee of the Zenith Corporation, essentially Space Amazon, and your goal is to collect as many goods as you can, store them in your cargo hold, and track that on your manifest, and then ship them back to Zenith to do whatever they do with what you sent. In Graft, you're going to be specifically playing a drafting game. While you can very much see the threads connecting the two games together if you've played them, essentially the card rows you're going to be building in Graft are the manifests that you assemble by stamping in Tend. You certainly do not have to play one to know the other. Graft is a much lighter and shorter game for 3 to 5 players, and will take you about 30 minutes per session. Graft is not a normal drafting game in many senses, and you will want to familiarize yourself with the game differences because of that. You are going to be building a consecutive line of cards from what you have drafted until any player should choose to ship their cargo, at which point the game will temporarily stop, some steps are taken, and then whoever chose to ship their cargo will actually end up starting a whole new line of cards from that point on. You can normally expect to ship cargo approximately 4 to 6 times per player. On your turn, you'll be handed the hand of cards you will be drafting out of. This hand will start with 6 cards and reduce in number as cards are drafted. The hand will be 5 cargo or tool cards and 1 ship cargo card. That 6th ship cargo card will always be an option, and once drafted, will simply go back into the hand you drafted it out of once you're complete with those steps. If a player has shipped cargo, the hands will all be replenished back up, and you will have 6 cards again, including that shipped cargo card. But at all times, players should have an equal number of cards. Once each player has chosen the card they've drafted, they will simultaneously reveal their pick and then resolve the effects if there are any. Most of the cards you'll be drafting in Graft are going to have specific scoring conditions. All those can be found on page 14 of the rulebook and will normally not be worth any points themselves unless specific conditions are met. So for instance, you may have a card that is worth 4 points only if it is the 4th card in the cargo row you're drafting in at the moment. Another might say that it's worth points only if there are 3 cards to its right, or possibly count certain symbols within that cargo row. Importantly, many of the cards will have restrictions that will affect what other symbols you are allowed to play into that particular cargo line. Very importantly, these restrictions apply for as long as that card is in the line and affect all future plays until you either ship cargo or you bust out because of that restriction. It is a dreadfully important rule that you may want to think only applies to the next card, but it is in fact every card you draft until you ship or bust. We'll cover shipping in a moment, but busting is when you've played a card with a restriction and then you choose to play a card that is of the restricted type. Again, importantly here, you always have the option to ship cargo, but it may actually be in your best interest to just bust out instead of shipping. Because when you bust, all the cards that are currently within the cargo line that you're drafting are going to be put into your compost pile, and the card that caused the bust stays behind to start a new cargo line. Any cards in your compost pile at the end of the game are worth a point apiece, and there are some cards that allow you to interact with the compost pile on future turns, meaning those cards might not be out of play forever. When a player chooses to ship cargo, they'll choose the ship cargo card from within the hand, as all hands will always have one, and they will place that face up. When you ship cargo, you will take the entire row of cards you've been drafting and move it to an out-of-play area of the player's choice within the play space in front of you. You'll be unable to interact with this cargo line for the rest of the game in any way until you score it at the end of the game, and you will now have an empty area in front of you to start drafting cards into at the start of the next round. There are gold cards called badges on the table, 2 gold and 3 silver, that are randomly drawn and set out during setup. These are going to have certain goals that they'll be checking for when a cargo line is shipped. If you are able to claim any of them, you can choose to do so now while shipping cargo. Despite how many you might be eligible for, you can only ever claim 1 badge per ship cargo action. So if you are the first person to claim the badge, you'll put your player marker directly onto it and score the higher amount of points. If multiple people claim the badge at the same time for the first time, then they are both awarded full points. However, if you claim a badge after someone else has already done so, you'll simply place your marker below that badge and score the lesser points instead. These badges, once claimed, will not change out. They are just the badges for the entire game. Regardless of that badge scoring, after all that is done, you will have each player return their ship cargo card to the hand they drafted it out of, if they used it, draw that card back up to 5 resource or tool cards, depending on what draws in, to draft from, therefore restoring the hand to 6 total cards, and then you will pass that hand like normal. A game of Graft will end once the entire draw pile is emptied and a player chooses to ship cargo from their hand via the ship cargo card, or in the extremely unlikely event that all players are only left with that ship cargo card. In some cases, this might also be the only moment when a player has a different amount of cards in hand from another player, and that's just depending on how many were available when the card ran out and you're refilling hands. Once that final shipment occurs, all players are considered to have shipped that particular cargo line they're working on, and they are able to claim badges if they're able to. Again, only 1 badge can be claimed for the end of game shipping. Once that's completed, you will go into final scoring, where you will simply score up all the cargo rows that you have shipped across the course of the game, and add in any points that you may have from your compost pile. The winner is the player with the most points, with ties broken by the player who has the least amount of cards in their compost pile. And that is how Graft is played. The learning curve and ease of teach. Per usual, I went ahead, I learned it. I think the rulebook is very good.
Nice.
And because of the uniqueness of the game and how the drafting and shipping cargo works, it actually took me a little bit to click into what it was doing. But once I understood it, and then I just did like a fake hand in front of myself to understand, okay, it all falls into place very well. And I think that the actual teach of it is very straightforward.
Yes.
How did you feel learning the game?
It was nice to come back to an IV game and have already like an understanding where I'm at. Because, one of the other ones we're going to talk about, or depending on what order you're listening to these. So when you talk about Time to Panic is in its own little realm. This, coming back to the Tend universe and seeing the iconography and seeing the badges and seeing the implements and stuff like that was really, really neat. So it made it easier for me to learn. And especially since they figured out a way to use some of the mechanics that was in Tend and had it work for the game of Graft, that was really cool. And so it just kind of synchronized. It very much felt second nature.
Yeah, we taught this to a couple of people that had not played Tend.
Right.
And they got it, but I don't think it was as...
It was the second time.
Yeah.
Because when we did the first shipping and we were like, this wasn't allowed because it's in your line. And he's like, oh, I thought I just couldn't have it be next. No. It's restricted for this entire shipment. And he goes, oh.
You don't need to play Tend to play Graft.
No,
certainly.
you don't.
But I really do think if you have played Tend, if you know the way that game functions, you can very directly see the threads of, here's the manifest down to here. Here's why these symbols look the way they do. It's an interesting approach because you don't need to play the other one, but it will make this one easier if you have.
Completely agree.
Artwork, components, and iconography. We were given another limited edition, the deluxe edition of this one. And the only difference that I can tell from what is going to be the standard edition and the deluxe is on the badge cards. They are foiled and they're very pretty and they're very shiny and they're just fun to hold.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's good production.
Yeah.
It's a deck of cards. It's some cool wooden tokens. That's it. Really, the only major component miss is there's no score pad.
Right. Which is so weird.
The game needs a score pad. because there's so many little things that you have to check, and because you have a variable amount of how many times you've shipped cargo, I just wish there was a score pad.
Yeah.
It just would have been nice.
Yeah, it would have made things easier.
There's not a ton in this box, but what is here is great.
Yeah, because, I mean, they went back to what they did in 10, so that if you have played 10, you're like, I recognize all this stuff. And then what'll be really neat is that if you happen to pick up this game first, and then if you happen to buy 10, which it's a great game.
Still, I'm playing our prototype. Still.
Yeah.
It's a year later.
Has it been a year?
We played it in September, October last year, yeah.
My goodness. Okay, this makes me very happy because this is going to be a nice little teaser. This is an appetizer of the world of 10, and then eventually 10 will come out, and that's going to be so nice.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that we now know that, like, this is called a lily bloom and a crankle and a plumfish, and, like...
They named the things!
Yeah, I like the fact they named the things. That may have changed from prototype to production for Big Boy 10, but it's just... really nice because the art in this I really like. I really liked it in 10, and it just is engaging to me because I've recognized it and I've played in this so much. I really, really like this.
Yeah, the art feels very much like 1980s, 8-bit, 16-bit, simple video games.
I understand where you're going. I actually go a little more towards that Wind Waker cel-shaded vibe. Artwork's great. Components are great. Iconography is where things are a little... ish.
Just a little.
And it's not by a ton. The problem that I have with the iconography, because it reuses a lot of what's in 10, which is great, but the way the cards are laid out and the scoring conditions, like the lure here says you score 3 points per unique fish card to the right of it. That's all done symbolically. And once you've played the game a couple times, that all clicks in, but you really are going to end up leaving the rulebook open to page 14 because it has everything that it can break down into there. And the fact that there is not a player aid of this, yes, there is a player aid, but again, it's a single card, and on the one side is your turn structure, and the other side is the process of shipping cargo. That's great, but I don't know why there isn't, here's the scoring symbols. It's a weird little miss, but thankfully it is all very clear. It is all very well laid out within page 14, and you just set the rule book up there, and it's like, if you have any questions, it's right there.
Yep.
Wish it was the back cover, but, now I'm just getting nitpicky. So, on the whole, I do think art, components, icons, clear as day.
Yep, completely agree.
There is no solo mode. As far as player count and replayability, so we only got to play this one at 3 players. We did get to play it a handful of times, and I think it works just fine.
Right.
The time on the box here says 40 minutes as well. I actually think this one is closer to 20 to 30.
Yeah.
It is shorter than what the box says. I mean, I like it at 3.
Yeah.
I would play it at higher, but it's a drafting game. It's, your mileage may vary. However many people you normally like, that's where you're going to be at.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, when you're dealing with some drafting games, a higher player count isn't good because, okay, you're going to have only so many cards. I'm going to choose that one card, and then I'll never see that hand again. Where at least in a 3-player game, it's like, I know what I'm passing. I wonder what's going to be missing by the time it gets back to me.
I have a chance of getting that card back.
Yeah.
But because of the way the ship cargo hand refresh thing is,
right,
it makes passing hands more dynamic, and I do like that. I mean,
true.
I know that should be in the next section, but whatever I'm mentioning.
Yeah.
Replayability. How do you feel?
I feel like it has a good replayability, but it's not as high as it could be. After I'm done playing one, I think I'm good for a while. I don't think it's one of those things like I'm going to go, okay, now that I've played one, let's play another one. I think I'm going to be like, I'm good for a little bit. And I don't love that because I'm like, Q-Birds. We play Q-Birds all night.
Yeah.
This, I don't feel, has the same lock-in for me.
Yeah, I think the problem is because you have so many little conditions that you're trying to follow and you're trying to make sure that you are following along with certain things and, I'm handed a bad hand now, so do I just bust and get the compost or do I just ship and try to get stuff? I think there's more thought going on in this than a lot of drafting games of its weight. Yes, there's certainly bigger, heavier drafting games.
Oh, yeah.
But if we're looking on this particular tier, I think it is a little thinkier to the point where, yeah, I want to play it once. Like, I'll play it again tomorrow night, but I don't need to play it again tonight.
Yeah.
I also think that the card variety is interesting enough, but it's a card game. So you're at the mercy of what you're dealt. You're at the mercy of what's passed to you. It's all those things. And so I think it's the other, I don't want to do it again twice in a row just because, yeah, I just had a bad game. I don't want to go through it again. I don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
What's to like? What's to dislike?
I mean, honestly, if you're wanting a game that you could do a one and done, I think this is definitely it because it is a little bit more thinky. And I like that it's a little bit more thinky as a card game. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get those thinky games and it's a board game and it takes up a lot of space. This doesn't take that much space because once you ship, you just put it in a pile and you let it sit. Or if you have a compost, you flip it over. That's what I did to mitigate it for me. And it worked very well. But it's one of those just, I have not played as many drafting games that I have enjoyed as well as I have enjoyed this one.
Sure.
Because even though like the one I had a horrible score, I still had a great time playing it. And that was nice. Sure, I've played drafting games before, but there's always been like another component. This is your component. I do like that there is some think to it. And I also like that I'm one and done. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things I do enjoy is that when we were done playing with it, I was like, I'm good. I'm satiated. Even with the loss.
Yeah, you definitely get a full fat game out of this because even though there is that card game issue of what cards am I getting, there's something really enjoyable when you're able to kind of push, be like, all right, I'm going to see if I can make this work. And because of the way the ship cargo thing works and the hand refill, it means that even though you just passed away a hand of red cards and you can't have any red cards anymore, maybe somebody's going to ship. And now, new cards are coming in. Mm-hmm. I have a better chance. So that for being somebody that does not like push your luck, I like the way this did it a lot.
It almost feels like a safe push your luck.
Yeah.
Like you've got like a little bit of a buffer. You're not going to totally be hosed if things don't go your way.
It reminds me of Mystic Vale in that way.
Okay.
Because, you could take a couple of hits and then you just need to start being careful. And because of the way the restrictions come out, you get to choose how you're going to be essentially harming yourself. Mm-hmm. And because of the fact you know what cards are passing, maybe the ship cargo gives you some more leeway, but you have some idea of what you can and can't rely on being able to get. Mm-hmm. There's some really cool tactical choices here. I do like that.
The weight of your choices really does matter in a way that some games just don't do.
Yeah. What's the dislike?
There's no score pad.
That's true. 100% agreed. Down the line.
I mean, honestly, you can't really control what cards are coming out. I mean, if you don't like that, but I think there's a lot to this game that the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. Where are you falling on this?
Player count's an issue.
Okay.
I would have loved a 2-player mode, especially in that Seven Wonders duel vein, because I think there's a way that you could have gotten there. But my issue with drafting games, it was the same issue I had with Brian Boru of I need 3 people and I need 3 people that like this very specific type of game. Sure. Now, thankfully, this is just a straight drafting game. So this is much more approachable. This is much easier to bring somebody into.
Yes.
But there's the issue of the player count. So if you only have 2 people, you can't play the game.
Yeah, this game's off the table.
Otherwise, I think we've really covered my other issues with it. I have a surprising amount of recommendations.
Really?
Yeah, as I'm sitting here thinking through all these things. I mean, obviously Tend.
Yeah, obviously Tend.
You're looking at a drafting game versus one of the biggest flipping rights out there. But if you like this theme, if you like the iconography, if you like the way the manifest idea works, play Tend. Mm-hmm. I think if you like Tranquility, you're going to get a similar vibe here of I'm trying to make certain things work and I have some cards coming to me, but I need to be very careful with what I'm doing. I think that one's going to work out really well for you. I think the other one, and it's a bit of a weird choice, but you know how much I love this game, and I am pretty sure we are the only content creators to ever talk about it, so I'm going to give Antidote as much of a pass as I can, because that same idea of what cards am I seeing, what cards am I going to pass around, do I want to push my luck and get rid of this card that maybe I need? It's a bit of an oblique one, admittedly, but it just gave me that vibe.
Yeah, I can see that argument. Yeah.
Final thoughts and scores.
of the 3 games, I know this was when I was rating higher. This is still only a table for me. This is the 7. The reason why it has to come down, it could have been an 8, but not having a solo mode, not having a 2-player mode, that really does hurt it because I have to have 3, but I do really enjoy the game. But then again, I've played enough games, maybe with sitting with it with enough time, maybe I could figure out a way to pull off a solo mode or a 2-player mode. You never know. I'm going to own it. So why not sit there and like really sit with it and find something to make it work? What about you?
So I'm coming in at a table as well.
Okay.
I really went back and forth on, is this a 6? Is this a 7? Is this an 8? I found a number of reasons to go to each score. When I'm looking at it, you have what I've already said of the player count issue. There's no solo mode. There's no 2-player mode. So I'm not able to interact with it on my own. I'm not able to interact with you in this particular context. But it also puts it in this weird spot of 3-player games. And there's some really, truly great 3-player games out there, including from Ivy themselves, like Realm of Reckoning.
Right.
But then I look at it and I think, there aren't that many drafting games like this one. I like what this one is doing a lot. It's very interesting. It's snappy. It reminds me of Tend. And maybe I have more people, but we don't want to play a 3-hour flippin' right.
Right.
But when I look at it on a whole, it's a game that is easy to teach. It's easy to pull out. It's easy to set up and clean up and put away and do everything there. Like we said, it's not quite a filler, but it's not an event game either. But it is a game that I would be happy to play with other people. And it could be a great game to play while we're waiting for another game to finish, because it is so quick to clean up and score and do all the things. Yes, I wish I had the score pad. But you know what? If we just needed to end the game early, we could just ship where we're at. We could still have a complete, full experience of the game.
True.
So as I'm looking at all this together, I think where I'm coming down is a 7. I really like the game quite a lot, and there are plenty of moments I can recommend it to other people. I think there are going to be people that absolutely love this game, and I think there are many, many, many reasons to love this game and have this become a drafting game of choice.
Right.
So yeah, end of the day, I'm happy to recommend this one. It's going to stay in my collection. Is it going to be my go-to at all moments? No, but I'm probably never going to turn a game down of it either.
And that makes total sense for you with all the reasons why you said.
Once more, this game is coming out at Gen Con. It is going to be available from IV shortly thereafter, I believe. This is going to be $30. And if you are going to Gen Con, you want to pick it up, it is at
Booth 2239.
Thank you very much. So if you do end up picking it up, if you want to try it out, I will most likely actually be bringing this with me to Gen Con, so track me down. We're going to be playing at the tables. We're going to be doing all the stuff, so let's play it. I would be very interested to hear what your opinions are, and I am sure you would as well, Scott.
Yeah.
So go ahead, if you have played it, if you're going to play it, hit us up at boardallthetimegaming.com. Let us know what you think. And otherwise,
we'll catch you on the next one.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Oh, God. He just pulled up a lure.